Hey photo friends, Marcin here and welcome to the very first stop on this channel. If you're here, you probably already know your way around the camera, but you're probably wondering how on earth do I turn that passion into like a thriving business? Well, you're in the right place. I got it because I was right there too. Now, a quick story. When I started out, I thought you had to be some kind of a artistic genius and technologist and a marketing guru and like a legal expert all rolled into one. Honestly, I spent a good few years stumbling around trying to piece it all together, and let me tell you, it was a headache, but that's exactly why I created this channel, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Here's what we're going to do. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 core pieces of the puzzle that make up a successful photography business. Think of them almost as the building blocks, from like mastering your camera and your client interactions to setting up your pricing, packages, and even scaling with automation, AI, and funnels. It's all here. And this is just the start. Each of these is its own piece, and you'll find dedicated video on each one as you go along. So if you're ready to figure out how to turn your photography skills into a real business, you're definitely in the right place. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what steps to tackle next. And remember, this is just the first piece of the journey. I've got a whole series lined up to help you build your brand, automate your processes, and really create a business that runs smoothly. And hey, before we dive in, if you find this helpful, consider subscribing. Think of it this way. I'm sharing the same stuff I usually reserve for paid clients, and I want you to have that edge. So if you don't want to be left figuring things out the hard way like I did, hit that subscribe button and let's build this journey together. Today, high-level overview of like what are the puzzle pieces when you're building your photography business. I'm going to make you aware. I'm not going to dive deep on any one of them, but I can guarantee that when you revisit the channel every single time, whether I'm doing the live or I'm also posting new episodes on Monday, there's an episode covering either the entire chunk or part of the chunk, usually part of the chunk, because there's a lot of information that you have to be aware of and that you have to sort of know and then master later on. So that's really what happens when you come back to the channel, between the lives, between the episodes, between the shorts that I'm sharing. You'll always walk away. That's sort of my promise to you. Always walk away with like a piece of advice or at least something like a flag. Hey, here's something you really need to consider and make it part of your business. So with that being said, let me switch over to my slide deck here. All right, guys, and this is exactly what I was talking about. So I mentioned in the quick introduction that we have some puzzle pieces. And before we even dig into the slideshow, let me show you something else. I don't typically talk about it, but it's something that we need to cover. So if you've been watching the episodes, if you saw some of my content very often, you'll see this logo anchored somewhere to the bottom of the screen. I think it's right below there. And it's there for a reason. So obviously it's a photography content, so it's about photography. But the thing is, this representation of the DSLR, the camera, right? Or mirrorless, I don't know, can't tell from this angle. But it really consists of 7 different origami pieces, right? And this was actually intentional. This was sort of to represent the 7 puzzle pieces or 7 core areas that you really need to kind of focus on or aware of when you're building your photography business. And camera and editing are 2 of those pieces. So now the question is, what are the other 5 components, right? Like I thought, like, most people would probably say like, I thought that was just it, camera, editing. I tell somebody and like, yeah, when you're at the very beginning, yes. But if you're planning on making it like sustainable, if you want to have some sort of a recurring income, then you have to understand how this system works. So in this example here with the logo, there's 7 modules. And let's see if I can, off the top, tell you what they are. So bit of a challenge, I think. But the first one is really mindset. So even before we get to like editing, even before we talk about camera, before we do anything, mindset is very, very important. And I will dig into those just in a second, just to give you more intel on what's in those components. But mindset is number one. Let's see if you can guess along as I'm doing this. Camera is number two. Number three is the client interaction component. Very, very, very important. At the very beginning, it's minimal. You're just talking to a person, maybe a friend, maybe some kids from the neighborhood, depending on where you're starting. Maybe you're doing a family portrait or two. But as you progress, you have to understand what you're doing. And especially, I'm talking when I say that, it's usually, there's a difference between talking to your neighbor to take photos of her kid, let's say, or his kid. And there's a difference between when you're talking to a client about like destination weddings, or when you're talking high-end weddings, when you're charging 10K and plus for a wedding, which, yes, it's absolutely possible. So this is the client interaction. So that's number three. Number four is editing. So now you see the camera and editing are already in there. Then you have number five is actually business. And this was a big one. This is a huge one. You guys have to understand, you're not just a person around. I mean, if you're just a weekend photographer, making up prices every time you shoot, and that's the thing that rocks your boat, by all means, do it. Listen to your heart, do whatever you got to do. But I would say this material is probably not for you. But then if your goal is to build something sustainable, to build something, even if it's 5 recurring events every year, great. If it's 10, great. If you're going to be mixing events from maybe family to headshots for professionals, maybe some corporate work, maybe events, now you're talking a legit business, anywhere from 60 to 90K, right? And beyond, depending on what level you're on, because there's a number of steps in this ladder, right? So somebody asked me the other day, is it possible for this thing to be 100K? Absolutely. I know wedding photographers that shoot weddings at 52K per wedding. So pause there for a second and just think about it. It took me a while to digest that number, but and they shoot 20 weddings a year. So you guys have to understand, there are clients for sort of different levels, different packages. And it's like, when you're starting, you're not there yet, right? So don't ever compare yourself to that photographer that's on the 48th level of the ladder. You're probably somewhere in the bottom, maybe on the first step, maybe on the 6th step, maybe on the 12th step. But don't always compare. It's just your focus, your attention should be, how do you get from step number 4 to step number 5 to step number 6? That's your daily focus, right? That's your daily grind. So I was talking about business, super essential. I'll talk about some components just a little bit. And then number 6 is day of the event, whether it's a true event or whether you're shooting with a family or portraits, or maybe you're doing headshots. Or so it's important just to know the logistics, the timing, how to organize it, notifications, what to there's some things you can probably notify your clients about before they come, right? Way before they come, right before they come. Then you have to know how to sort of operate it on, when you're on location, what exactly are you doing? So that's logistics for the day off. And the last one, which is also huge, I was actually at one point kind of contemplating on whether I should include it in the business component, but it's actually different in nature. There is lead generation. And with lead generation goes automation, goes content and social media, goes AI. And I'm building this. This is most recent. This is recent. This is current information. So even with the AI component, it's, you guys have to be aware of how can you leverage this? How can you make your life easier? It's all about time. You're trying to make sure that you spend less time on your as little time on your business inside the business. That means you working, whether it's you editing, whether it's you doing social media stuff, whether it's you shooting, whether you have to almost kind of step away, zoom out, and say, okay, I will work on the different components. Maybe I'll end up delegating some of that work, because eventually you want to build something. You want to build an asset over time. At least that's the way I recommend it, because in the end, time goes by, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. You may like to hand it off. You may want to sell your business. You may want to sell the business and be a consultant. There's so many options in the end. That's why I share this content and make people aware, because a lot of times they do something, they feel like they don't want to do it again. They feel like they have to just kind of close it down, and nothing happens to something they have built over the years. So that's not true. And that's why we talk about the 7 components. All right, guys. So now you know the secret. When you look at the logo, it's always 7 components. 7, I'm showing 5, but I'm saying 7. So 7 components. And this is what we're talking about today. Very high level. This video will actually end up as a intro video to the YouTube channel. And it's a little, timing is off because I maybe should be starting with this, but there's already a bunch of like phenomenal videos laid out for you guys, just so like you start understanding the different components and putting that those puzzle pieces together. So we're going to start with the slide deck. Let's go back here, and I will first read things off the slide, and then I will add some flavor to the slides. So 7 puzzle pieces of thriving photography business. Building a successful photography business isn't about mastering everything at once. It's a gradual process. Remember the latter steps. It's about connecting the right pieces in the right order, not everything all at once. You don't have to worry about, the maybe logistics of the day if this is your first thing. Like we're going to focus on the camera and client communication and editing, and those are at the very beginning. Those are the first things. When I work with folks, and I get to do the audit, we just eliminate the noise, because it's always about the signal to noise ratio. So we eliminate what they don't need to worry about, and then focus them on where exactly the focus needs to go. So this way they go kind of like smaller, slower, but they go much, much faster. This framework breaks down exactly what you need to focus on and when to transform your passion into profit without burnout. So let's go to the next slide. And the number 1 piece, you guys know, now you know, first puzzle piece is mindset and confidence. Guys, mental game is the name of the game. And this applies to anything. I mean, if you're starting sport, if you're playing instrument, if you're, and especially if you're 25 and under, it's a little easier. If you're looking at this content and you're probably 16, 17, that's gonna be no issue for you. But if you're 25 and older, we have almost like this mental model built of, people call it ego, but it's this model of like what we think works, and we defend that confidence model, that mental model. And very often when we're trying something new, it's very, very hard, because people call it perfectionism, procrastination, but in reality, really the underlying thing is fear. And it's like, what are people going to say? And, I just want to make it right. They spend a lot of time like reading and procrastinating because they want to get it perfect the first time around. And it's like, imagine, guys, like if you could go back in time and actually remember the first time, like you were trying to eat food for the first time, probably not the easiest ever, right? But like it took a while to get there, right? Maybe it didn't take years, probably a couple months, but like it took some time. When you started riding a bike for the first time, when you started driving a car for the first time, like nothing is, it's like some things are easier than others for some people, right? Like we're better at some things, but worse at other things. And it's just something to remember, like this is going to take some time. And there are a couple components here. So puzzle piece number 1, mindset and confidence. The foundation of your success. The biggest obstacle isn't your camera skills. That part is easy. It's what's happening in your head. Imposter syndrome keeps talented photographers charging $200 when they should be charging 2,000 or 3 or 4 or 8, right? So a couple things that I wanted to mention for you guys here, like where do we normally get stuck with this first puzzle piece? And here I needed to just kind of compile a quick list just so you understand. Maybe you want to read on it some more. You can watch other YouTube videos. You can listen to me, but you have to know. Confidence is competence. This is the thing where people are sitting and like they want to gain competence. They want to be pro at the thing that they're trying to do, whether it's business, lead generation, Facebook ads, or whatever. But like it's and then gain the they want to be competent, right? They want to be actually the other way around. They want to be confident before they get competent. Like that's, I don't feel ready. Like I don't know. It's not the right time yet. Like, I'm going to learn some more and it's like, that's not how it works. Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from doing. So this whole business about like procrastination, a lot of people are like, I'm perfectionist. You're not. You're just afraid that it's not going to work. So you're trying to overcompensate and do this extra learning and books and YouTube videos. It's like, just get a coach and move along. Like that's the fastest way. But you can also do it on your by all means. You can do it just on your own. It's just going to take a long time to get there, right? So for me, it was like, I got to tell you, the mindset thing, it took me probably 6-7 years because I was already somewhere else. I had another job, and then I figured, hey, I'm just going to do this photography thing just to make some extra cash. And then even when somebody was like calling me photographer, it still didn't kind of like connect in my brain for whatever reason, right? Like my body was just like rejecting, like, well, I do this other thing, but like photography is, and then it took a while to adopt. And I'm like, well, I mean, if I'm doing all the things the photographer is doing, then I guess I am a photographer. So it's the weirdest thing. But like, if you know it at the beginning of the game, if you do those tasks, right, that photographers do, like automatically you're that person, right? So confidence is competence. Shiny object syndrome. A lot of people, they pick on one thing on photography, let's say, or a genre of photography, and then they try doing it. I actually have another episode for you guys about Valley of Despair, where you're going to learn the cycle of change. It's a mental cycle of change where, we're excited about a thing and like we're starting to do it, and then we slowly learn it's not as easy as we thought, and then it gets even worse because it's like you feel overwhelmed and there's so much information, and it's not organized because you're trying to figure it out on your own. Like you don't have a mentor. And a lot of people then at that point, at the bottom of the valley, they switch back. They're like, I'm just going to do real estate, right? And then the same thing happens. I'm just going to switch and do portraits. And then they just go back, same thing. And then they go back and I'm going to do another, whatever type of photography, kids photography or whatever. And with every one of those, like you have to stick around long enough to actually understand what it's about. So procrastination, again, I already mentioned that procrastination, essentially fear, and we're just delaying this because we're not sure. We're looking for some sort of like affirmation, confirmation, and it's not going to happen until we actually do it. And then we have overwhelm. It's just the amount of information, right, that we're flooded with. And that's the bottom of the valley. And it's like, once you go through it, once you start putting those, that's why I do those videos, because you can actually put those things in place and just like, okay, I got to solve number one. Then once number one is solved, like, okay, now we got to solve number two, and then number three, and then number four. So it's at least that information. Like the reason why I work with other photographers and like we do an audit of their business, and we say, okay, it's okay to leave this other stuff alone. Right now, we have to optimize for solving this one thing because this will get you this. Like this is the shortest path to money, right? So that's exactly what's happening there. And that's we try to, like, in this overwhelmed phase, we go in, dig in, and like personalize the experience. Like, hey, dude, like move this around and like just this thing. So that's really the benefit of when you're working with somebody. The perfectionism, again, people just use it as a substitute for fear. There's no perfect. Like, think about it. You get to a level, it's like good, and it's like it can be better, right? Then you get there, and it's like that bar is constantly adjusting and changing. So it's never ending. Like, think about, anybody that makes money. Like at the beginning, you're gonna make $100, and like after $100, you're gonna think about like how to make $1,000, right? And then after $1,000, like, how do I make $5K a day? And it's like, when you get there, then because you did a shoot, client paid, you just collected like, holy crap, like, $5K, never thought it was possible. And then you're like, look at corporate game, or like you work with churches, and then the number goes up and up and up. And so it's like that bar never changes. Like I mentioned, this 52K per wedding photographer. Yeah, if you work with sign non-disclosure agreements with clients that are not celebrities, but there's like business people that don't want their stuff to be posted online, and they are willing to pay more than an average person, right? Like it would be unreasonable to say somebody that brings in $1 million a year pays $3,000 for the wedding as an average Joe, right? So you guys just have to understand that. And then idea with this is I said with execution, but it's like idea versus execution. A lot of people have ideas. A lot of people when they start their business, like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. That's different than actual doing. Doing is different. Doing sucks. Ideating, that's easy because anybody can sit there and come up with ideas, but like doing. So a lot of times it's also this like applying frameworks, because schools don't teach us this. How to break down the process, what do you have to do, how do you actually prioritize that work. This is again going back to what I said earlier about like what to focus on first, right? What are we optimizing for, what are we solving at the moment, and that's really what it is. So execution, there's a lot of things that I share normally with students, and they start to move along, right? Because otherwise they're just for a very long time in this stagnation mode of like a lot of ideas but not really know where to start or what to focus on. So that's puzzle piece number one. Your transformation begins with permission to value your work appropriately and the confidence to charge accordingly. It's okay to start small, and then you guys have to progressively grow. For me personally, I believe it was about 20%, actually 15% every like 6 months. And then after 2 years, it just started going up like 20, 30% up. And, until the point where we were comfortably charging 4 to 6K per event. And so that's just normal. It's a sort of like an organic growth. So something you need to know about. All right, we're going to switch to slide number 2. And here, puzzle piece number 2, we have camera skills simplified. So I'm just going to say this because you wouldn't be watching this video if you kind of sucked at photography. I'm guessing that's most of the audience. And even if you sucked at photography, like that's your next piece that you have to master, right? And the thing is, with camera skills, I always this was one of so number one, this was something I was that was really intimidating for me at the very beginning. I was just overthinking this a lot. I thought there's so much to it. People talk about like the shooting in RAW versus JPEG and the technicalities and manual mode and how to switch and off-camera lighting. And you guys have to what I'm trying always to say, it's like you only need about 20% of what the camera does. Like I don't have a camera next to me, but what happens is it's about 20% of the stuff in there. I have a custom menu set up, and I use Canon 5D Mark IV, and I have a menu, and my menu, the custom menu that I use throughout the day, consists of maybe 6 different items, like 6. When you go through the menu, there's like, I don't know, there's got to be hundreds and something options, right? If not more. But it's like 6 is all I care about. And I can really get there. And even with stuff like histogram, people are going to like argue against it and say, you should be using histogram, whatever, for those of you guys that know what I'm talking about. But I focus on the basics. And when I talk to people, it's just like, listen, this is the set of things that you have to understand in your camera. And you're going to definitely be able to charge money for just those like 7 or 12 or whatever the number is. But the thing is, again, very often you guys will hear me saying this, it's what we are optimizing for. And in my case, there are photographers that really go deep. There's a reason for those menu options to be there. And if you want to go deeper on a certain genre or techniques of photographing, that's absolutely fine. That's not what I'm optimizing for. I'm optimizing for what do I need to know and do. Hey guys, pausing here for a quick second. If you're curious about where you stand on your photography journey in this process of building this business, we've created a quick assessment to help you identify your strengths and areas for growth. Just click on the link in the description or follow the link on the screen. Take the assessment and get your personalized insights to help you move forward. Let's go back to the video. to get to money, right? There is a figure that I have in mind. Let's say it's 80K annually, and it's like, what do I need to know about my camera to get me there? And it's like, that's it. So because and life gets easier after this, because when you're thinking that you have to be like super artistic or super technical, it's like you get overwhelmed. It's no fun. And again, if you just focus on like, hey, what are, again, it's like the where's my focus going? So in the camera skills component, that's really what I focus on with students. But master 20% of your camera capabilities to produce 80% of professional results, guaranteed. Focus on aperture, shutter speed, ISO. Those are obviously the basics, but everything else comes later. Like I said, I take you through my menu. I show you how. I show you like all the shortcuts. There's videos coming where you guys will see and understand what I'm talking about. Practical over perfect. So use what actually works in real shooting scenarios. My daughters was shooting confidently manual mode within weeks by focusing on practical application. That's all it is. It's just like very often when I show examples, it's a practical example. It's not some sort of theory. It's not pictures from the book. It's not something that you don't really need to memorize or visualize. It's just like, here's what I do and here's why I do it, and use it. So that's pretty simple. Learning curve, your technical skills will grow naturally as you shoot more. Start with the foundations and build complexity as you gain experience and confidence. So when you guys are thinking about implementing some additional ideas, off-camera lighting, some special portraits, neon lighting, painting with light or whatever techniques, sure, if you know how to do it, go ahead and implement it. But if not, like, those things come in as add-ons later, and you will be able to monetize on those extras, things that you know. But you need to focus on things that work right now that will build cash flow. So camera, not really, believe it or not really the biggest piece of a puzzle in this equation of like building this. Next one is client interaction and communication. I'll try to be brief on this one. There's a lot that goes into this component because folks are usually not aware of sales cycles or techniques or what happens behaviorally with their clients. A lot of times we're posting either ads or we're posting content and we're like, why? We're curious why the clients are not responding, why they're not getting engaged. And it's like it's just all mental frameworks. You guys have to understand it. That's why I actually spend time on this, because once you understand it, it's like a epiphany, right? And a couple of things here that I wanted to mention. Let me look at the slide. The slide says the client experience is where amateur photographers become professionals. Anybody can go out to anybody and just offer their client services, right? And just cash, accept cash or accept a payment. But when it comes to, again, if you're optimizing for building something longer term, on a longer time horizon, something bigger, something that can become the asset, communicating with the client, understanding that process, reaching out to them, cultivating that relationship is a must. So here, strong communication systems create trust, set boundaries, and deliver satisfaction. So I'll just jump quickly through those four. Discover, call, set expectations, qualify leads, and establish rapport. Not a lot of people know what qualifying leads is, right? So it's just those little things that we need to understand. Booking process, clear contracts, obviously, payment schedules, onboarding, all of those things I have separate episodes on or will build episodes on so that you guys understand what we're talking about with the booking, around the booking process. And then pre-shoot prep, reminders, guidance of your clients, and confidence building with the client. You got to make sure when they show up, they're a little more confident. There's actually ways to do it. And again, I cover those both in the Facebook group and in the content to follow. And then delivery and follow up, exceed expectations. Let me just reset my thing here. Delivery and follow up, exceed expectations, and secure referrals. Very important. You have to understand the clients. They go through like an emotional sort of roller coaster with you, and especially when it comes to like referrals or when you want to exceed their expectations, you have to understand where the peaks and valleys are of that emotional experience. People always remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said. You guys probably have heard this before. So it's just understanding the process. There's psychology behind this process, and we totally just skip that. We're not aware. So that's very important. All right, guys. Puzzle piece number 4. This should really be called business, but I added pricing packages because that's really like those are the questions that fall within this category, among other things. But 3 things here: value-based pricing, stop charging hourly. A lot of photographers are like, 8 hours, 10 hours, or whatever. They try to calculate this thing, but it's really about a promise and commitment that the client is looking for. Client is not going to be, they don't care how much you charge per hour. They just care what they get and how much they pay, right? So stop charging hourly. Clients aren't buying your time. They're buying the transformation your photography provides. Your prices should reflect the value, not just your cost. And you can apply this across the board. So a lot of times, it's different pricing for when you're working with your neighbor's kid, right? Doing them a favor. This is doing some senior portraits. This is doing headshot for somebody. Even with headshots, and I'll give you a quick example. Some people think like, when they are doing somebody's headshot, like a professional headshot, they don't understand. They just think whatever they think. They're in the same spot that I was before. I thought, how much can I charge for a headshot? Like, it's probably the same thing as like a senior portrait. And like, this is totally not true because you have to understand that it's the value. It's like the person that's coming to you to get the headshot. Who are they? Like, are they an executive? Are they like a known accountant? Maybe a known lawyer? Maybe a doctor? It's like an uplift in their image translates into dollar bills, right? So when they come in, it's totally normal to charge different fee for just setup fee, and then different fee for the image, and you charge you can charge per image. So then depending, it all stacks up because they come, they pay for the session, they pay for an image, maybe 2, maybe 3 images. And then if it's part of maybe, advising them on how those images can be used, now you're getting into like an area chapter of like, here's your almost brand building exercise, right? And this can really quickly go from like a $350 thing to, $3,000 thing, depending on what it is. So always tie yourself to value. Never translate anything into hourly fees. Simple package structure. You need just 2-3 core packages to succeed. Too many options paralyze clients and complicate your workflow. Create good, better, best options with clear differentiation. This is important. You guys, whenever, if you ever been shopping for like software packages online, usually when you choose the packages, there's usually 3. Did you notice that? And it's actually another psychological thing behind it because nobody likes to pick the bottom package, right? So they always stay away from that. Usually we go for the middle. It's usually, by the way, marked as like the most popular, quote unquote. And a lot of times there's some data behind it. A lot of times it's an intentional thing to get you to buy. And there's always a bigger package. Sometimes there's like this ridiculous package, and I talk about it when I talk in the group, in the Facebook group, or when we have individual sessions, when I do audits with you guys. We look at packages because it's very important, because you can anchor somebody against the bigger price. This way it kind of speaks of you, your value. We judge when we go to a photographer and their highest package is $12,000. Automatically, I don't care what you say, his value in your head goes up, right? But if you go and they're like, well, it's 1,200, but like, you almost feel like you need to force the guy to like drop the price. So something very important, and that's something that I also cover. And there's actually another session that's coming up on the channel that you can watch and just addresses that specific thing. Legal foundation: establish your business entity, LLC recommended for right now. If you're looking like which one, go with LLC, and then we'll figure out the rest. A lot of people ask for like a DBA versus S Corp. Forget about S Corp. You have to make over 100K. Let's just use that as a rule of thumb. And DBA, like, you just want to have it separate. You don't want to be responsible and on the hook for anything that can happen. So LLC is the way to go. It's not that expensive. So if you're looking for a quick answer, that's my advice. Obtain necessary permits, set up client contracts, and secure appropriate insurance before you book your first paying client. I had somebody recently that went in and they wanted to be slick, and they asked ChatGPT to write a client contract. And let me tell you, it's a difference between. I don't think ChatGPT ever did a wedding. There are things in the contract that you will not find in the standard template. Like, a lot of people buy stuff online, and for like $20 from Pinterest or whatever, or they go to ChatGPT and just generate it, and it's just funny because the real meat on the bone that needs to be in your contract is not there. So very often we end up just a lot of it is good, but there are some essential things that you need to include in your contract, and it's just something that comes from like learning from other photographers, exchanging ideas, being burned a couple times, and like, so it's definitely something that needs to be included here in this section. Anything else on this slide? I don't think so. Did I flag it here? If I didn't, I apologize. Here's the slide. So those are the three things we've talked about. And now we're moving on to puzzle piece number 5. And this is editing that doesn't drain you. Guys, you can spend hours in Photoshop. Let me tell you, for 3 years, I went bonkers trying to it was just, I did things I didn't need to do at all. Like, I'm just, because it's fascinating, it's fun, but you can burn time just sitting in front of Photoshop trying to like come up with different looks. And this is I have a good news for you. Most of the stuff that I do, 95% of it happens in Lightroom. About 5%, maybe 8. It's definitely not 10. Happens in Photoshop. Maybe when I'm doing portraits, anything that deals with face, skin, and all those corrections, that's all Photoshop work. But anything for an event, for basic portraits, unless it's being like printed, right? I usually ask my clients like, what's going to hang on a wall? And if it's going to hang on a wall, it's my billboard in somebody's house. So I want to make sure that it's mint, right? So at that point, I would jump into Photoshop and give it some extra TLC. But other than that, Lightroom, and it's like, don't overthink it, don't overcomplicate it, don't buy millions of plugins. Because your client, you're going to confuse your client. Your client comes in, they expect certain outcome, they expect certain quality or certain look, which we call our style. So just make sure that you're repetitive. And yes, it's going to get boring after a while, and it's okay. That means it's easier. That means you can delegate it. That means you can build system around it. Give it to somebody else, right? And then you're off the hook. You don't have to edit, right? Then you focus on something else. And let somebody else handle it. Pay them, and yes, it's for you, but like, you need to work on building the business, make it bigger, and not worry about certain things. So if you can eventually, there's a lot of photographers that delegate everything. They including taking photos. I'm not going to mention names, but there's a couple famous wedding photographers that they simply show up and they coordinate the shooting of the wedding, but they don't necessarily. Yeah, they're there with the camera. They take a couple snapshots, but like the other 3 photographers that are with them take care of everything, right? So they outsource shooting, they outsource calling, which is the selection of images. They outsource editing, they outsource album design. Like, they essentially leave the wedding and they hand off the work, and a week later it just shows up at your doorstep. So this was my mistake, because I originally thought that there's nobody in this world that's as good as me. And it's an absolute nonsense, guys. So it's like, if can you find somebody? Yeah, I agree with you. Nobody will see the world the way you see it, but like, if you can get somebody to do 70% of your work, that's good enough. Because in the end, you're not even the judge of your work. Your client is the judge of your work. If they like it, who cares if you like it, right? So I always laugh about it, because a lot of people catch themselves in that zone of like, not thinking it's good enough or whatever, and it's like, you don't have to worry about it. What else? Let's look at this slide one more time. Work smarter, not longer. Editing is where photographers burn out fastest. The secret is building systems that maintain quality while drastically cutting time. Develop signature presets that give you 80% of the edit with one click. I mean, everybody, you guys know, you're aware. Most of you are aware of presets, and create batch workflows. Lightroom to process images in groups. I'm looking at the streaming error. Looks like it may be disconnected, but it's okay. I'm going to keep on going because you guys are going to get this video anyway in its entirety, both on YouTube and Facebook. But know when to outsource, like I mentioned before. This is when to edit yourself. High volume work like weddings is perfect for outsourcing, so just something to keep in mind. All right, and then puzzle piece. I keep saying slides, but puzzle piece number 6 is the event. Let me just see if I can reactivate it here. All right, cool. And puzzle piece number 6 is the event day logistics, right? So we have 2 more to go. Pre-event preparation, create detailed timelines with clients, scout locations ahead of time, and prepare equipment checklists to eliminate day of stress. Very important. Confident direction, master a handful of foolproof poses and prompts that work with everyone. So this is just being prepared, showing up at the wedding, understanding what you're doing. Remember, clients don't know what looks good. They need you to lead. Like, you are the guy, they hire you. That's, a lot of people like, oh, they're hiring me for the photos. They hire you because they just want to have a peace of mind, right? 2 other handling challenges: develop contingency plans for weather, lighting issues, and timing delays. The mark of pro is grace under pressure, right? Because eventually when you do 2, 3, 4, 5, like, it's very repetitive. So it's grace under pressure when things go sideways. Creating memorable moments, build the sort of like wow moments into the process. Like, we use same day previews, little slideshows that we show to our clients. Great marketing tool. And we always talk about emotions. We always talk about psychology of human beings, and those wow moments tremendously help. So throughout the day, try to sprinkle stuff if you can. If we are working with somebody headshot or portraits, we always show them even the back of the camera just for that immediate gratification. And that's really it. And end of day logistics, planning, understanding the timeline, working with your client to make sure they understand is really what's covered here. And then last puzzle piece, guys, is the scaling with content, funnels, and AI. And I gotta tell you, this could be literally, I incorporated into sort of my philosophy. I share it with all my students. This almost could be treated like as a separate almost course or class, because there's a lot of stuff here and it's very, very important. Like, you're not gonna move from one spot. Like, you'll ask friends and relatives, and eventually you're gonna run out of juice, because the circle is, right, like, how many people within the circle, the people that you know, it's usually 150. There's actually some science behind it. And this one is important. Beyond the camera, building a business machine. The difference between earning 30K and 100K annually isn't just better photography. I want you to understand it. It's not the photography. It's not the editing. It's better systems that work while you sleep. It has to be in place, has to be available. It's kind of like this content I'm sharing with you guys. I go away, I step away from this desk, but in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let's say, but like this is on. Anybody can watch at any time, right? Even when I sleep. So it's very important. Content strategy: create content that showcases your work and attracts your ideal clients. One strategic Instagram reel can generate months of increase. It can go to a lot of people within your area, right? Or people that are interested in what you're offering. And then you have to understand platforms, and you have to understand the differences between, like, what's the difference between when I share a story? This is when I share the reel, the outreach, the engagement. You have to understand the 2-step content pieces. Like, there's a lot of working elements that will bring clients, and that's why I'm doing this, because you guys need to be aware. Marketing funnels: building automated sequences that nurture prospects into clients through email or social media. And strategic touch points. A lot of people think that they build a website and they are in business. Sure, website is important, but it's not guiding your client to do exactly what you need them to do. A lot of clients, like, It doesn't matter that you like your website. It doesn't matter that you have a great logo. We have a great logo, by the way, but but it doesn't matter. It's like if they show up on your website and they don't know what to do, guess what the time is? You guys probably know, but it's 7 seconds, right? If they cannot get an idea of like where to go, what to do next, 7 seconds, they're gone. Like you just lose, you lose your leads. And AI integration, this has to be there now, because you're going to be competing with other photographers that utilize AI, so you have to understand it. There's not much to it, but there's a couple basic fundamental components that will help you. It'll actually make your life so much easier in terms of like writing content and sharing your content. Use AI tools for culling images, for writing blogs, creating email templates, generating social media captions. It just saves you hours. It does everything. Copy for your website, for your emails, everything, right? So a lot of information in that one component. So do you remember the 7 content pieces? Mindset, camera, client interaction, business, editing, business, number 6, day of the wedding, of the event. So logistics, and then this piece, which is scaling with content, funnels, and AI. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love sharing this information with you for free. And the best way you can support me is by subscribing to the channel, obviously, or liking the video or leaving a comment below. Your support means the world to me. And if you have enjoyed the content, make sure to check out the next video suggested on the screen. See you there.